Hi everyone! Welcome to episode 51 of Loch Briar Knits. I'm Kelly, your hostess for this knitting podcast. Welcome to all the new viewers and subscribers, and welcome to all the returning viewers and subscribers. Thanks so much for coming back, and thanks for checking us out. Hope you'll stick around. So, as I said, this is a knitting podcast. I'm coming to you from Nova Scotia, Canada, and today in the weather report it is cloudy, a little drizzly, but apparently turning to sunshine for the afternoon. So, hurrah! So let's get into the quick admin, just where to find me. I'm most active on Instagram as Kelly L Boyce, and every time there's a Loch Briar group. There's a Ravelry group for the podcast, Loch Briar Knits. My username on Ravelry is Loch Briar. Where else? Etsy shop for my hand-dyed yarns is Loch Briar Knits on Etsy. And there's a Facebook page, Loch Briar Knits. So I will drop everything down along with the show notes and any links down below in the down bar. And feel free to like and subscribe on one of these sides. I never remember. I should just go like and subscribe. It'll cover everything. Yeah, so that is about it for admin. And let's dive right in to finished objects. Da, 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 da. I have finished The Weekender, and I'm going to, I think, push back if I left myself enough room. Yes, I did. So here it is in all its orange glory. I knit this with Knit Picks Wool of the Andes in their Persimmon Heather colorway. I still have 2 balls left, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. So here is, I did make a couple mistakes, which this really blows out when I get close. So let's see if I can find it here. Right here, I missed like a stitch. I forgot to, oops, I don't know if that's shown up. So right here, I kind of mucked up one of those stitches. This one. I don't know if you can see very well. So right there, it's super blown out, but you get the gist. And I did the same thing on the back on one spot, but one thing, I did this in the small, and as you will see, it's a little longer than I would have liked. I am going to knit another one, so when I do knit the other one, I'm probably going to stop it, like cut this much off the length of the body, just because I think I would prefer if it fell kind of like right at the hip. But this one falls longer, and I did not block it aggressively because I could see how long it was. The other thing too is, and I know it's supposed to fit loosely, but the back is like super voluminous, more so than I probably would like it. So that being said, it's a super cozy sweater, and I don't really care. I will wear this thing to death. And then this part up here, you'll notice I did get my arms through the sleeves, so that's a definite improvement over my last sweater. This fit perfectly. So, but I do think, actually, when I went to pick up the stitches for the sleeves, I think I was supposed to pick up, for the small, I think I was supposed to pick up like 56, and I could only get 50, and then I think I ended up like trying to pick up a couple extra stitches, so I only have 52 stitches on the sleeves, and they fit fine. So if I go down to the extra small, I'm not worried about them not fitting. But it's, oh my god, it is so super cozy. I finished it last Friday and blocked it, and then we went away for the weekend to the schooner house. So by the time I got home, this was ready to go. So it's awesome. It's super cozy and warm. I love it. I am probably going to live in it. And the one I'm going to make next, and ooh, let me see if I can find the yarn. I'm going to make another one. Not right away. I'll probably do this maybe in the summer. I'm going to make it out of this color, and I'm going to do it in the extra small. And this is Sugar Bush Shanty. See if I can get that to focus. Shanty. It's a really economical yarn, which I like, and it's beautiful. Like, it's so soft. It's made out of glasses. 75% superwash merino and 25% linen. So it's going to have a nice drape to it. And the colors are just like, oh, just look. Oh, I am so about the gray. And it's got like a nice marled effect to it as well. So I'm definitely going to make another one. This was so simple to knit. Like, it was just, if you've never knit a sweater before and you're looking for a beginner sweater, I would highly recommend this. This was only my 4th sweater, and it was so easy. It was so easy. And it was enjoyable. So, and it went by so fast because it was worsted weight. This was actually, well, no, the Veronica Cardi was worsted weight, but that thing was so massive, so it didn't feel like it went by as fast as this one did. Like, I think it only took me about a month to knit this. And that was while working on other projects too. Although once I kind of got started on this, I got pretty monogamous with it because I just really wanted it off the needles. And of course, I do it in time where, you know, spring is approaching. And I say that sort of facetiously because springtime in Nova Scotia, it's sort of like winter, wet winter, and then June. There's maybe a week in there of actual spring. But so I'll still get a couple of months wear out of this, and but I do wear like, I always wear something under it, just because it's not itchy, but I do have sensitive skin to anything that feels prickly on it, and then I start to like scratch, and so I like a layer underneath, and I do that for most of my sweaters, even if they're not like that. So I did do, there's a couple little things, like I noticed, like, I don't know if you can see it, like right here, there's a couple little places where it looks a little holier. There's a couple there, you know, just a couple like little spots, but I'm not too worried about it. I'm like, whatever. But I did do, I think she calls for 1x1 ribbing on the cuffs, and I did 2x2 ribbing because I just like it better. And I think I might have gone a little longer, but here's another mistake I made. On the first cuff, I did however many, I did decrease, I think, 1 stitch on each to get the required number, so it was like 2x2 even ribbing. And then on this one I did the same thing, but I must have had fewer, like 2 fewer stitches or something on this, which I don't know, the sleeve doesn't feel tighter, but when I got to the ribbing I realized I was kind of 1 section short. I don't know what I did, but I mean, I can look at it and see a little bit of a difference because one's a little looser, but it doesn't feel any different. So, and I don't think anybody's like going to be doing really intense scrutiny of my wrists. So what ifs? Yeah, so that was pretty much my only finished object. But I dove right in to a new sweater and I got completely hooked. So I had planned on doing, and I don't think I brought it down with me, I planned on doing the gable, which was by Hannah Fettig. But here's the thing, when I had the yarn picked out that I wanted to use, we're having another hair day. As usual. I'm letting my hair grow out, so it's a bit of a process. But anyways, the Hanafitic sweater, the Gable, was asking for 14, to do the size small was 14, about 1,400 stitches. So I think it was, or no, 1,400 yards or meters. I think it was 1,400 yards. Just like a little over that. Anyway, a fingering weight yarn, which seems like a lot for a fingering weight small. And so I'm looking at the sweater and I can't quite figure out why it's so different, like why it's so much, because most of the other fingering weight sweaters I've done are more in the 1,100-1,200 range. So I don't know why that one's so much, but so I went and pulled one of the other sweaters that was on my Make 9, which was, sorry, it's kind of mucked up, but it's the Rachel by You and I Knits, which is Jose Paquin. She's a Canadian designer, but there is like some detailing right here on the sides, which I really like. It's just kind of mild enough without being too much. It's also got, find another picture of it here. So it's got the split hem on it, which I really like. Because I like my back to be a little longer than the front. So I do love when they do like a dropped hem. So I don't know if you can, not a dropped hem, but a split hem. So I'm using Berocco Skye, and this yarn is so crazy soft. And it's a mix of 30% wool, 35% viscose, 20% yak, and 8% nylon. So, and it doesn't have an actual color. Well, I mean, it has an actual color. It's a gray, but here's the thing. It really looks gray here. So the color is 7670. So you can kind of see it's gray. But here's the thing, in different lights, it looks almost like it has blue undertones. And then in other lights, it looks like it has kind of like a dark foresty green undertone. So, but oh my God, it's soft. It is so soft and squishy. This is going to have like a beautiful drape to it. Hair. So I started this on the weekend when we were at the Schooner House, and I got, it's a, oops, top down. So let me see if I can do this without actually, I don't have it on a super long cable, so it's going to look a little squished up. Also ignore the dog hair because yeah. So I'm really impressed actually with how fast this was knitting up. So this is where I'm at. And I have to knit, itchy nose. I have to knit about, where's my armpit? I probably have another maybe 3 inches to knit, and then I think I start doing the detailing that goes here. But I love how this is knitting up. Like, this gray is just such a gorgeous color, and the knit, like the yarn, is so soft and squishy. So I'm really hoping, oops, I'm really hoping the dog hair doesn't stick to it. And I did this in the size small. Whoops. So I'm probably going to transfer it over to bigger needles just so that I can try it on as I go, without having to worry about knocking it off the needles, which is exactly what I would do. But yeah, I would love to have this done. What's this, March? I'd love to have this done by mid-April because then I can still get some wear out of it. And it's actually fairly lightweight. So I can probably wear this, you know, through April, May, early June on, you know, when it's cooler, on the cooler days, because it doesn't get stinking hot here in June. So yeah, so I am really, really enjoying this knit. And I have to say, I am, I'm picking the fuzz out of my eyeball is what I'm doing. I am totally hooked on garment knitting now. I'm like completely hooked. I feel like a garment knitting or a sweater knitting fanatic. I want to knit all of the sweaters, but here's the thing. I don't want to do a colorwork sweater. I like the idea of colorwork sweaters, but I was kind of watching, and every now and then I'll see one and I'm like, oh, I'd really like to try that. But here's the thing is I don't wear colorwork sweaters. And when I'm shopping, I don't see a colorwork sweater and think, oh, I'd really like to have that. So I think I like the idea of it more than I like the actuality of it. And not last episode, but the episode before that, when I was watching Vullenbein, she had Emily from Slow Fashion Rebel on, and they were kind of doing like her Pinterest board, and just doing like a fashion, I don't know, just kind of nailing down the type of things that she really likes to wear and building a maid wardrobe around that was kind of the idea. So I thought that's a really good idea because I do have on Pinterest, I do have a Pinterest board for like styles that I like, that I think I would wear, but I'd really like to kind of go in that and start to kind of curtail that down and really sort of drill down and figure out what it is that, based on what I'm seeing there and the things that I'm really gravitating towards, and then building the sweaters I want to knit around that. And I really don't know if I want to do color work. I mean, I want to do it. I want to do maybe like some hats and mittens and stuff like that. That I would wear. But a colorwork sweater I just don't think is my jam. I just don't, yeah, I like solid colors. So that's that. that was my tangent. So I think that's what I'm going to do, because I pretty much a couple of years ago cleaned out my closet and made more of a capsule wardrobe, and just kind of have it so that I'm not just like frivolously buying clothes and then wearing them a few times and just thinking, oh, it's really not my style. So I really, when I do buy something, I want to be really conscious. Is it something I'm going to get a lot of wear out of? Is it a quality garment that's going to last me a long time, so that I'm not throwing it out at the end of the season because it's kind of getting ratty, etc. You know, just kind of keeping those things in mind and keeping what I own more minimized as opposed to what it used to be. So I want to also be conscious of that when I'm making things as well, because I don't want to put all the effort into making something and then not wear it, because that doesn't make any sense. So anyway, that's that. So blah. I don't even remember what my Pinterest name is. Oh, by the way, what am I drinking? It's coffee day again. My mug from Lunenburg, which I think, did I get this? Oh no, it's not Lunenburg. I got this in Mahone Bay. So it's really pretty. Look at that. Like, look at the colors in that. I love this mug. It's my coffee mug. Anyway, black coffee today. And so if anybody's on Pinterest, you want to check out my board, my Pinterest handle is, oh, there it is. Yeah, I guess it's just under Kelly Boyce. So if you're checking it out, feel free to pop on over and check it out. I've got KB's style file, and then I also have one on wardrobe capsuling. So feel free to pop over and check those out. I'll try to remember to put a link down below if anybody does want to check it out. Yeah, so what else have I been making? So I have done some work on my bird of a feather, which, there. I just want this off the needles. This feels like the shawl that wouldn't end. And I know part of it is because I got sucked into garment making and knitting making. And then this sort of fell a bit by the wayside. Am I showing the right side? Oh yeah, so I'll show you that in a second. But I also know it feels like I really want to get this off the needles because I want to start on my own design, and I said I wasn't going to do this until, oops, until I finished this. So, which was supposed to be my incentive to get it done, and it is, but so last episode I was here, so I've done 2 more sections. I did the lace section, which I may have mucked up a little bit, but I don't think it's really noticeable. I don't think so. And then I finished doing the next mohair section. I did that this morning. So yeah, so it's definitely growing, and I'm at the point now where I've stopped increasing. I think it's this section here was where I stopped increasing, and then, so I think I'm probably more than halfway, I would assume then, but I want to finish because number 1, I want to start on my own design. Number 2, I would really like to be able to wear this before the season ends. But here's what, do you see this in the middle of the row? Okay, so I'm knitting along, minding my own business, and I was on the mohair, but there was like this big tuft of hair built up on the mohair. So I thought I'll just take my scissors and I'll just kind of like trim it down, right? Just like trim it down. And the whole time I'm doing it, I'm going in, I'm like, now you make sure you don't cut that thread. Oh, so that's exactly what I did. I accidentally cut the thread, and then I had to kind of rejoin. So I've got this sticking out here, so I'll have to weave it in. It's not that big a deal, but it was just like, I'm literally going in to cut it off. All I had to do was, if this was the yarn, all I had to do is just kind of trim up the side very carefully. And no, I just went right in and went, while the whole time in my head saying, don't do it, don't do it. Like seriously, what is that? What is that? So yeah, so I'll have to fix that. Luckily it was on the wrong side. So I'll just weave it into the back and, you know. But this thing is so lightweight and so soft, and I love it. Like, I love the look of it. I can't wait to wear it. But then I'm like, oh, I really want to work in the sweater. And the other part too is that I knew I had a lace section when I started it up again, so I knew I needed to pick a time when I could just sort of have some quiet time without being interrupted and losing my place, because me and lace are not friends. We're more like acquaintances that aren't quite sure if we like each other or not. So Although I will say, this is super staticky. There we go. I will say that the lace sections, it's just kind of like fan and feather lace sections. So it's super simple. There's no reason to mess it up if you pay attention. So there's that. And I didn't mess it up on the first section. I did mess it up a little on that section because I kept getting to the end and I had more stitches, but I don't know if that was because I started with more stitches, because the actual fan and feathering part looks fine. So I might have just somehow ended up with more stitches than I should have had. I don't know. Which means I didn't mess up the lace section. I messed up just the straight knitting section, which is embarrassing. So next up in my tangled skein bag is my sock I'm knitting for my sister out of my own colorway, Shut the Barn Door. I love this colorway. And this one here is actually a little more muted than the ones in the shop. The ones in the shop have a little kind of stronger presence of the red and orange and gold. But this is the first I've actually seen it knit up. And oh my God, I'm loving it. And, and I'm so sad that I promised this to my sister, because like seriously, I just want a pair for myself. So it's got this lovely muted brownish gray background. It's really more of a browny color, but it looks a little gray here, with of course the pops of color of orange and orange, red, and gold. So I did pull a skein for myself, but the skein I pulled was a little less muted. I left the ones that were like, had a little more vibrancy in the shop, and then I pulled the two that were kind of on the end skeins, I guess, and were a little less muted, or a little more muted for my sister. And then for mine, like, oops, mine came out a little paler and with not a whole lot of color on it compared to the ones in the shop. So mine's going to be kind of a little less muted, but I'm so tempted just to dye myself up a batch of it and make a shawl out of it, because I just love the colors. I just love them. It would look really good with my weekender too. Maybe I will do that. It's time to get back to the dye pots. Anyway, tangent. So that's all I've gotten done on the sock. And I was knitting another sock on the Addy Turbos, which I still am. I just haven't touched them in the past. I think I might have knit one row and then I got interrupted, and that was that. But I do want to finish these first because I promised these to my sister. So that is pretty much all that has been on the needles. Speaking of the Addy Turbos, I had done mostly, I set up the first sleeve on the weekender. I did probably, I would say, half of the sleeve on the Addy Turbos, and it was really good. I had no problem with it, really. But I was really anxious to get it done, and I'm still slower on the Addy Turbos, so I switched halfway down to the magic loop, and I did the second one all on the magic loop, and I was able to go a lot quicker. So magic loop is still kind of my preferred method, but I do really like having the option of the Addy Turbos. So, or not the Addy Turbos, the Addy Flexi Flips, sorry. Duh. So these are the ones that I was using on the weekender, and I do really like them. I like having the option of using these. I definitely do prefer the more pointy end. So I definitely do prefer the more pointy end. That's the more blunted end. But you know what, really, when you're knitting, there's not a whole lot of difference, especially I found with worsted weight. I notice it a little more with the fingering weight when I'm doing the socks. But I do like them. I'm definitely glad I got them. And so I have the 375. So I could do the Rachel sweater sleeves in these, and I might do that. But I'm so anxious to get it off. I might off the needles that I might just go with the magic loop. We'll see. We'll see. But I do think that Jose Paquin is a Friends fan because she's got the Phoebe scarf, which I've knit twice, and then I've done kind of a smaller modified version that she also gives. And then the sweater I'm doing is the Rachel. So I'm sensing that she's a Friends fan, which so am I. So this is perfect. I wonder, I'm going to have to check her patterns to see. Does she have a Monica on there somewhere? Anyway, so, yeah, so that's all that's on the needles. And what's coming up? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know what sweater I'm going to do next. I would really like to do the gable, but I'm going to have to go through my sweater stash and see if I have a sweater's quantity and fingering weight that's 1400. And I don't know if I do. So I'm going to have to check. And if I don't want to, I mean, I don't want to buy another sweater's quantity of yarn. I always want to buy a sweater's quantity of yarn. Every time I see a beautiful yarn that I would love to make a sweater out of, I want to buy it. But the thing is that I have so many sweaters quantities of yarn that it doesn't make sense to buy another quantity just to knit one sweater when I could probably knit another sweater out of the quantities I do have. If that made sense. I think that made sense. In my head, that made sense. That's not always a good measuring of it, though. So, I don't know. Maybe I'll do that this weekend as I'll kind of go through and see what I have. The other thing, too, is oh my God, English is my first language. Now I completely forget what I was going to say. Anyway, it'll come back to me. Yeah, I totally forget what I was going to say. Memory lapse. Okay, but yeah, so I don't want to buy a sweater's quantity of yarn because I don't feel I need to knit sweaters at this point in time. So I'm going to go with what I have, and then if I have to switch out the gable pattern for something else, I will. Bottom line. Anyway, so acquisitions. I did say I wasn't going to buy any more yarn, and this was actually part of my yarn club, which I had already paid for prior to having said that. So this is the Homespun House Game of Thrones colorway, or Game of Thrones yarn club. It was a 3-month yarn club. So the first month was House of Stark, and the second one was Targaryen. House of Targaryen, I think is what it was called. I don't have my glasses on. Can't see. Don't know. It's just called Targaryen. So, and House of Stark. Okay, so House of Stark, Targaryen, and then the new one, which is, one of a kind. And this is called Mother of Dragons. So these are the three. So here's the thing. The first two are kind of, and before I go into this, please let me just reiterate how freaking amazing this skein of yarn is. Like, look at the colors in that. Honestly, like, it's just crazy. It's beautiful. And one spot, here's my favorite spot. This, like, right here. Just look at that. Oh. So, but here was my original plan. Was I really wanted kind of a darker knit shawl. All the shawls I have right now are either sort of more muted colors, or I have the shawl which is in the beginning segment of my beginning segment intro, which was from Helen Stewart's Shawl Society 2, I think, and I'm just completely blanking on it. Or no, maybe that was the knit along. Maybe that was the knit along one. I can't remember. Anyway, it's a Helen Stewart pattern. I'll try to remember to put it in the drop down below. But so the thing is that all of my shawls are either kind of more brighter or muted colors, but I don't have any that were like really sort of deep dark ones. So I wanted to find a 3-color shawl where I could use up most of the skeins and have it be like a darker toned one. And I really love these two together. But this is like lighter toned, and then it sort of mutes down to me the darker tones. And I don't want to do that. Not that this isn't a beautiful skein of yarn, because it is. And that'll definitely get put in a special project. But I wanted it to be more darker toned all through. So I do have this, and I don't know if it works or not. This is by Handmaiden. And this is their Casbah line, which I really like. So this is, I'm reading it backwards because it's flipped on my end, but it's 81% merino, 9% cashmere, 10% nylon. So it's got the nice softness that these ones have. I'm not sure if it goes with these ones. Now it's definitely got kind of the blue tones. These are nowhere near similar. But that's one of the contenders if I do end up doing a 3 skein shawl. But I do definitely want to put these two together. So I'd like to, if it is a 3 skein shawl, find a complementary one. So that's kind of a front runner. I might do that. So that's a thought. But, and the other thing that I did get, which is yarn related, but not yarn. And I can't remember if I showed this on last week's podcast or last episode of the podcast or not. So if I did, I'll try to remember to cut it out. But this is Take Heart, and it's by Fiona Alice, who's actually from Nova Scotia, but she's living in London now. And I believe she'd worked with Pom Pom magazine at one point. But, and I think this is produced through Pom Pom. But let me just show you. Like when I say I don't want to do color work, this kind of color work I do want to do. Look at that. Like, seriously. So, because she's from Nova Scotia, she has a lot of the patterns that are sort of inspired from growing up in Nova Scotia, and a lot of the patterns are named after places in Nova Scotia. So let me just see. There's one here. Yeah, so of course this one that I love is Martinique Beach, which is right near Schooner House, which is sort of like our summer house, but we use it year round. I don't know why we call it the summer house. It's just a house. It's like a regular house. It's just outside of the city near Martinique Beach. But so that's beautiful. Let me find, there's like Chester Basin, Lunenburg Harbor. Lunenburg Harbor, look at those. Oh, so comfy. And then there's these ones I definitely want to knit. I love those. I love the idea of having those for the winter time if you want to go out hiking, because we're going to get to hiking a little later on. So here's a picture of the Lunenburg socks. Look at those. They're just, oh my God, they look so comfy. I don't think there's a pattern in here that I don't want to knit. Like these. Oh, they're just like beautiful. Here's the other one I want to knit. What's this one called? That one's called Three Cliffs. So it's just, honestly, it's beautiful. The whole book. So if you're looking for some really cozy, beautiful knits, this I can't recommend highly enough. There's not a pattern in here that I don't want to make. So that's Fiona Alice. Take heart. Which I think she named after her very first published pattern in Pom Pom, I believe. But yeah, and it's just a beautiful, handy little book. Really beautifully made. The photography in it is just amazing. So that is what I bought, and that's really about it. I don't know what's in the queue other than when I finish the Bird of a Feather shawl, I am going to start designing my own. And I've got to figure out what sweater's going to be next if I don't have enough yarn for the gable. And you know what? The sun's coming out. Oh, they weren't joking. It really is going to get sunny. Wasn't a tease. I am, for shop updates, I am hoping next weekend I may try to get some yarn done. So for the shop update, we still have some yield in the shop. This is like a bit of a micro striping effect yarn. It's part of the double dips. And we've got some Midnight Craving in the shop. We've got, whoops, some Shut the Barn Door. So you can see this one's got a lot more coloring in it as per usual, as opposed to the one I kept for myself. Now I'm jealous of these ones. So there's some Shut the Barn Door, and returning to the shop, there's some kind of a limited amount of Pop and Circumstance. So this is, it's blowing out a little, but the green is like super, the colors are kind of super bright, so it's blowing out a little here. But there's a good representation of it in the shop. So there's other colorways in there as well. Those are just 4 that I grabbed to show you real quick. Yeah, so there's still plenty in the shop, and I'm going to try to probably do up some more and So It Goes, because I think we only have 1 left of that in the shop. That seems to kind of sell out pretty quickly. So I'll try to get some of that done, and maybe a couple new colorways within the next week or so, and then I'll let you guys know when the shop update's going to be. And I usually post when the shop update is going to be on Instagram, but I'll also pop it kind of on the front section of the front page of the shop as well. And I think that's everything for shop updates. So I don't know why I do that. I jump up and cross my legs and then I'm like, yeah, that's not really comfortable. I don't have room for that in this chair. So life stuff. Another like 2 crazy weeks of work have ensued. I thought it was going to slow down, then it just didn't. What the hell, people? But let's see what else has been going on. We did go to the Schooner House last weekend for Saturday overnight, and it was so beautiful. It was like crispy cold, but not uncomfortable cold. And it was like sunny and beautiful. I put some, I took some clips and put it in my Instagram stories and saved it under highlights as well, if anybody wanted to see. But I also took some photos and posted those on Instagram as well. It was beautiful. It was just like the sky was just that crazy, brilliant blue, and it was just amazing. So we didn't see the deer. We saw their tracks and we put some food out for them and that, but they didn't show up while we were there that we saw. They may have come after we went to bed. We booked our trip to Dublin, so really excited about that. That'll be in October. We usually take a trip around our anniversary, which is October 1st. So I think this one's maybe the week after that, maybe. I'm forgetting the dates now. But while I was at the Schooner House last weekend, my sister sent me a text and said she wants us to plan to do at least a part of the El Camino Trail, which is in Spain, I believe. I want to say Spain, or I'm trying to remember if it transverses across Spain and somewhere else. But anyway, it's a long trail. I think Shirley MacLaine wrote a book on it, but it's like kind of a really famous trail. It takes, if you were to go from start to finish, it takes a while to do. I've got a month stuck in my head, but I don't know how accurate that is. But I can't actually take a month off work. But we were thinking if we kind of plan it maybe a year or 2 from now, it'll give us time to save up and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, that's going to be on the horizon. So I thought I might go to the bookstore today and just see if I can find a little more information on it. I know I can find it online, but sometimes I just like to have a physical book in my hand. So that's kind of a sister plan, which I'm actually really excited about. And I'm trying to think what else went on. That's really about it. It's been a little pretty low-key, quiet couple of weeks. I didn't get to the gym at all last week. It was just like one of those crazy, stupid weeks. And so I've got to hit the reset button and start again next week. So I sort of redone my workouts, and so I've got new workouts to start with, and tried to get to yoga a couple times. I didn't even get to yoga last week. Like, it was just, last week was just a write-off. Yeah, so that's all that's kind of going on and coming up, and I think that's it. So I'm going to let you guys go, and I'm hoping, I feel like I'm forgetting something that I was going to tell you, but I don't know what that would be. So I'm not going to sit here and babble until it pops into my brain. I'm going to let you guys go. So I hope you all have a wonderful couple of weeks. Hit the subscribe button, little bell, if you want to be notified of any upcoming episodes. Total brain fart right there. What are those things called that I'm doing? So I will try to be far more articulate in episode 52. Try being the operative word. So yeah, see, look, babbling. Really? All right, I'm letting you guys go. Thanks so much for showing up, but while the new and returning viewers and subscribers, you guys are awesome. Give a thumbs up if you like the episode, and subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be notified of future episodes. And until then, I will see you guys in a couple weeks. Happy knitting!